Hello and welcome back to the PLP. Probably shouldn't be talking, I've got a stinking cold, so apologies for the nasal effect today, but considering it's first v second and third v fourth in the NLP, it seemed a bit rude not to. Probably be minimal narration before I cough my guts up, but this could be a day that decides a fair amount, especially amongst those top two. I was going to say that first, second, third, fourth and fifth are all in action today. We're starting at the bottom of that particular pile. Brian Little's Wolves see travelling to LuTom, who are very much still in that battle for one of the two bye positions, I guess you'd call it, in the playoffs. So second and third go straight through to the semi-finals, while fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh have to do an extra round. So two of our lot will get that automatic progression and two won't. Hence why that game between third and fourth, NottinGiant and Gourlayverpool coming up. There's a lot riding on it. Is that an assist for Tom Lock here? Back in the team and showing why he should never have been dropped in the first place. I think I mentioned it the other day, but obviously we have the end of season pause, so we have that big day over the summer amongst the draft where we do all the playoffs and the cup finals, but actually we're going to have to go through the first round of the NLP playoffs before that sort of pause at the end of the year, just purely because they occur before the end of the League 1 and League 2 seasons. The NLP season in general ends about 10 days earlier than those other two divisions. So we will have a bit of playoff drama in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Presuming this does stay a win for Tom. It's quite an important win considering he knows there will be drop points up ahead of him. Naturally, this won't do much harm to his goal difference either. Not entirely sure on how he's faring in that regard compared to the likes of Gourlayverpool, NottinGiant Forest, otbCraig. But continuing this form in this game won't do him any harm. Mancini going straight in for the 4-2-4 to that end. It's been a good first season for all the newbies, to be honest. They're all going to finish ahead of Manchester, who came down from League 2 last year, having done a first full draft when everyone was available, which is an achievement in itself, and they've all been extremely competitive. I think they've all managed to take scalps in various cups across the season too. So there's nothing to suggest that they wouldn't be able to be more than competitive in League 2 next season with another summer of acquisitions under their belt. So Tom Netcruz has already been pretty astute, picking up the likes of Julian Alvarez and Mangala, who hasn't played too much, but Dragusin as well. People that actually the initial drafters had initially picked up. Uwe Rosler, he was definitely part of the initial draft before being released. Nicholas Jackson, the same. Interesting to see, looking at the Wolves team, whether Strand Larsen is on anyone's radars going into this summer. Not a lot else, but at first glance. Belieber on the bench as well. Very handy draft pick. MATTch was actually the club captain for Dan City Y last year. So yeah, definitely signs of promise for the likes of LuTom, and a nice 3 points. This is the big one. Second v first. For a long time it looked like the home team were going to be sailing towards automatic promotion. Then the wheels came off. Marshyside came and stole those wheels and sped off into the distance. Let's see now. Any chance of reeling him in again now, he'd have to win today. A win for Marshyside all but secures that title. I think that potentially means, I'm not sure when the next round of games are, but I think mathematically he'd be on course even by the end of this week, early next week, if he can get another tight win under his belt. Every single game, including his most recent one. Oh no, actually no, he got reeled back in the 94th minute by NottinGiant Forest the other day. But it was looking for all the world like another sneaky 1-0 or 2-1 win. Classic Mourinho performances. He started well in the first half here. He'd presumably take a draw at this point. Anything but a defeat, and he's got one hand on the trophy. From an otbCraig standpoint, I suppose it would be nice for them just to revisit a bit of that early season form, even if it is just for one more game. And obviously turning attentions towards securing that second or third spot. Here it is, 5th goal of the year for Bastien. Talking about how competitive LuTom or someone like that could be in League 2 next season. You look at the likes of Van Nistelrooy, Son Heung-min, Patrice Evra, Schweinsteiger, Van Bronckhorst. That team really should be fighting towards mid, if not top end of League 2. He says as one of those players immediately puts into his own net. bit harsh on MATTch and definitely claim that, I think. Oh, what's a header. Second in about 3 days from Yapstam. Yapstam is not a player that should be plying his trade in the National League Prem. He's in a rush to get out of it. And I think it's fair to say now that the title is heading to Anfield, and for otbCraig, the focus reverts back to the playoffs. They'll still be, quite confident, quietly confident, especially if they can forego the first round of those playoffs. But there is a slight steadying of the ship that needs to happen in the next 4 or 5 games before all that gets underway. Well done to Marshy, one hand and pretty much a few fingers of the second hand on that trophy now. As you'll see by the league table in a second, this one really is a big game in that race for second and third. NottinGiant off the back of a decent draw against the top team Marshyside at the weekend, and actually leading the race to join otbCraig in those bye positions as things stand. A win here would really strengthen their grip on that. He knows he's got LuTom bearing down on him already after his 5-0 win a few minutes ago. The other team, obviously, that we're hoping enters the equation at some point is Manchester, but they lost at the weekend. It's looking a bit of a forlorn hope at the moment, and they're not even playing today. So they've played an extra game. They would need to win at least 4 of their last 5 games, I think, to even stand a chance. That's an interesting goal. Any away win against other draft opposition is to be treasured. Timo Werner stepping in for Demba Ba, who's usually leading the line for Gourlay. Very familiar strike force on the other side, albeit that one's chalked off. I've said before, he's got a pretty decent glut of strikers in his squad. That's Craig, but Clough seems to have settled down with Vialli and Morientes. Certainly hasn't settled on this scoreline, mind you. Not sure how Matt Upson's goal couldn't count, but this one is given to Cater. His way to Leicestershire before its deflection. This isn't the last bit of excitement for NottinGiant either. They've still got the FA Trophy to come. They're in the semi-finals with, in theory, a comfortable-ish game to get to the final. I think it's Fulham C on their radar, where they're likely to face Marshyside Red, who have, I think it's Wolves C, who we saw earlier. So it should be an all-drafter clash, heading to Wembley for that one. I think that is included as part of finals day over the draft weekend. Vialli against Dan Burn is a hell of a foot race. Not so much of Madueke. He was actually getting game time again at Dan City Y last year. He'd have seemed like an obvious starter for Gourlay this year. Barely played. Forgot he had him, to be honest. Could be someone that still comes into his own later in the project. And still not a single shot on target for the home team. See if they can do it against 10 men, because that's what Gourlayverpool are going to have to do. A couple of shots, but no impact. And this could be a hell of a win if he can hold on. Good day for the Toms as things stand. The Craigs, on the other hand, both dropping points and falling back towards them. Oh, Werner's beating Vialli in that foot race as well. Oh, what a finish. Vialli's last bit of hamstrings turned to mush. Not sure why he was the last man back anyway. Shredding treacle. Too old for that shit. Bless him. Gourlay and Necru's on the rise. I'll try and work out in a second what Marshy needs to do to start officially celebrating. Let's have a look. 12 points and 12 points. He needs a point. One more point will make him uncatchable. Where will that come? That's going to come next Tuesday. Away at Aston Villa D, you would think. Mark your card, Mr. Marshall. Any sackings? We had Ian Dowie moving to Crystal Palace B. We've now Jean Tigana sacked from the Charlton 24 side. Follow his progress and lack thereof. And then tomorrow we're back to League 2. So, as I explained the other day, the game's going to come pretty thick and fast from this point onwards, giving my poor throat no time to recover. Catch you then.